also the half-sister of Oedipus, because he unknowingly kills his father and marries his mother, Jocasta.
Antigone has two brothers, Eteocles and Polynices, and a sister, Ismene.
After the passing of Oedipus, Eteocles and Polynices struggle over power.
They kill each other in battle. Oedipus' household is cursed.
Antigone and Ismene are left to grieve.
Creon, their uncle, becomes king of Thebes.
And Antigone is betrothed to marry Haemon, Creon's son.
Creon declares that Eteocles will be honored for defending Thebes.
But Creon decrees that Polynices shall have no proper burial because of his rebellion. This defies the warnings of the blind prophet Tiresias.
Antigone refuses to abide by Creon's law.
Will you support Creon? Or will you take Antigone's side? This is the story of Antigone. Ismene, dear sister, you would think that we had suffered enough for the curse of Oedipus. I cannot imagine any grief that you and I have not gone through. And now, have they told you the new decree of our king, Creon?
I have heard nothing. I know that two sisters lost two brothers, a double death in a single hour. And I know the Argive army fled in the night. But beyond this, nothing.
I thought so. That is why I wanted you to come out here with me tonight. There is something you must do.
Why do you speak so strangely?
Listen, Ismene. Creon buried our brother Eteocles with military honors, gave him a soldier's funeral, and it was right that he should. But Polynices, who fought as bravely and died as miserably, Creon has sworn that no one shall bury him, no one mourn for him, but his body must lie in the fields, a sweet treasure for carrion birds to find as they search for food. That is what they say, and our good Creon is coming here to announce it publicly, and the penalty, stoning to death in the public square. There it is. And now you must prove what you are, a true sister or traitor to your family.
Antigone, you are mad. What could I possibly do?
You must decide whether you will help me or not.
I do not understand you. Help you in what?
Ismene, I'm going to bury him. Will you come?
Bury him? But you have just said that the new law forbids it.
He is my brother, and he is your brother too.
But think of the danger. Think of what Creon will do.
Creon is not strong enough to stand in my way.
Ah, sister, Oedipus died, everyone hating him, for what his own search brought to light. His eyes ripped out by his own hand. And Jocasta died. His mother and wife at once. She twisted the cords that strangled her life. And our two brothers died, each killed by the other's sword. And we are left. But oh, Antigone, think how much more terrible than these our own death should be if we go against Creon and do what he has forbidden. We are only women. We cannot fight men, Antigone. The law is strong. We must give in to the law. In this thing, and in worse. I beg the dead to forgive me, but I am helpless. I must yield to those in authority. And I think it is dangerous business to be always meddling.
If that is what you think, I should not want you, even if you asked to come. You have made your choice. You can be what you want to be. But I will bury him. And if I must die, I say that this crime is holy. I shall lie down with him in death, and I shall be as dear to him as he to me. It is the dead, not the living, who make the longest demands. We die forever. You may do as you like, since apparently the laws of the gods mean nothing to you.
They mean a great deal to me, but I have no strength to make laws that were made for the public good.
That must be your excuse, I suppose. But as for me, I will bury the brother I love.
Antigone, I am so afraid for you.
You need not be. You have yourself to consider, after all.
But no one must hear of this. You must tell no one. I will keep it a secret. I promise.
Oh, tell it. Tell everyone. Think how they'll hate you when it comes out that you knew about it all along.
So fiery. You should be cold with fear.
Perhaps, but I am only doing what I must.
Can you do it? I say that you cannot.
Very well. When my strength gives out, I shall do no more.
Impossible things should not be tried at all.
Go away, Ismene. I shall be hating you soon, and the dead will too, for your words are hateful. Leave me my foolish plan. I am not afraid of the danger. And if it means death, surely this is not the worst of deaths. Death without honor.
Go then. Feel that you must. You are unwise, but a loyal friend indeed to those who love you. Now the long blade of the sun, lying level east to west, touches with glory Thebes of the 7 gates.
Open, unlidded eye of golden day. O marching light across the eddy and rush of Dirce's stream, striking the white helms of the enemy, thrown headlong backward from the blaze of morning. Polynices, their commander, roused them with windy phrases. He, the wild eagle, screaming insults above our land. His wings their shields of snow, his crest their marshaled helms. Against our 7 gates in a yawning ring, the famished spears came onward in the night. But before his jaws were sated with our blood, or pine fires took the garland of our towers.
He was thrown back, and as he turned, great Thebes, no tender victim for his noisy power, rose like a dragon behind him, shouting war.
For God hates utterly the bray of bragging tongues, and when he beheld their smiling, their swagger of golden helms, the frown of his thunder blasted the first man from our walls.
We heard his shout of triumph high in the air, turn to a scream. Far out in a flaming arc, he fell with his windy torch, and the earth struck him. And others, storming in fury no less than his, found shock of death in the dusty joy of battle.
7 captains at 7 gates yielded their clanging arms to the gods, which bends the battle line and breaks it. These 2 only, brothers in blood, face to face in matchless rage, mirroring each other's combat, clashed in long combat.
But now, in the beautiful morning of victory, let Thebes of the many chariots sing for joy. With hearts for dancing, we'll take leave of war. Our temples shall be sweet with hymns of praise, and the long night shall echo with our chorus. But now, at last, our new king is coming. Creon of Thebes, Menoetius' son. In this auspicious dawn of his reign, what are the new complexities that shifting fate has woven for him? What is his counsel? Why has he summoned the old men to hear him?
Gentlemen, I have the honor to inform you that our ship of state, which recent storms have threatened to destroy, has come safely to harbor at last, guided by the merciful wisdom of heaven. I have summoned you here this morning because I know that I can depend upon you. Your devotion to King Laius was absolute. You never hesitated in your duty to our late ruler Oedipus. And when Oedipus died, your loyalty was transferred to his sons. Unfortunately, as we know, his children, Princess Eteocles and Polynices, have killed each other in battle, and I, as the next in blood, have succeeded to the full power of the throne. I am aware, of course, that no ruler can expect complete loyalty from his subjects until he has been tested in office. Nevertheless, I say to you at the very outset, I have nothing but contempt for the kind of governor who is afraid, for whatever reason, to follow the course that he knows is the best for the state. And as for the man who sets private friendship above the public welfare, I have no use for him either. I call God to witness that if I ever saw my country headed for ruin, I will not be afraid to speak out plainly. And I need hardly remind you that I would never have any dealings with an enemy of the state. No one values friendship more highly than I, but we must remember that friends made at the risk of wrecking our ship are not real friends at all. These are my principles at any rate, and that is why I have made the following decision concerning the sons of Oedipus. Eteocles, who died as a man should die, fighting for his country, is to be buried with full military honor and all the ceremonies that is usual when the greatest heroes die. But his brother, Polynices, who broke his exile to come back with fire and sword against his native city, and the shrines of his father's gods, whose one idea was to spill the blood of his blood and to sell his people into slavery. Polynices, I say, is to have no burial. No man is to touch him or say the least prayer for him. He shall lie on the plains, unburied, and the dogs and the scavenging birds can do with him whatever they like. This is my command, and you can see the wisdom behind it. No traitor is going to be honored with the loyal man. But as for the man who shows by word and deed that he is on the side of the state, he shall have my respect while he is living, and my reverence when he is dead.
If that is your will, Creon, son of Nasus, you have the right to enforce it. We are yours.
That is my will. Take care that you do your part.
We are old men. Have the younger ones carry it out.
I do not mean that. The sentries have been appointed.
Then what is it you would have us do?
You will give no support to whoever break this law.
Only a crazy man is in love with death.
Then death it is. Yet money talks, and the wisest have sometimes been known to count a few coins too many.
I'll not say that I am out of breath from running, King, because every time I stop to think about what I have to tell you, I felt like going back. And all the time, a voice kept saying, "You fool, don't you know you're walking straight into trouble?" And then another voice, "Yes, but if you let someone else get the news to Creon first, it will be even worse than that for you." But good sense won out. At least I hope it was good sense. And here I am with a story that makes no sense at all. But I'll tell it anyhow, because as they say, what's going to happen is going to happen. And
come, what have to say?
I did not do it. I did not see who did it. You must not punish me for what someone else has done.
A comprehensive defense. More effective, perhaps, if I knew its purpose. Come, what is it?
A dreadful thing. I don't know how to put it.
Out with it!
Well, the dead man, Polynices, out there, someone, new dust on the slimy flesh. Someone has given it burial this way, and gone.
And the man who dared to do this?
I swear, I do not know. You must believe me. Listen, the ground was dry, not a sign of digging, no. Not a wheel track in the dust, no trace of anyone. It was when they relieved us this morning, and one of them, the corporal, pointed to it. There it was, the strangest. Look, the body just mounded over with light dust, you see, as if they covered it just enough for the ghost piece. And no sign of dogs or any wild animal that had been there. And then, what a scene there was. Every man of us accusing the other. We all had proof the other man did it. We all had proof that we could not have done it. We were to take hot iron in our hands, swear by all the gods. It was not I. I do not know who it was, but it was not I. And then, when this came to nothing, someone said a thing that silenced us all and made us all look down at the ground. Someone had to do it. So we threw the dice, and the bad luck fell to me. So here I am, no happier to be here than you are to have me. No one likes the man who brings bad news.
I have been wondering, King, can it be that the gods have done this?
Stop! Must you doctrine Rex go out of your minds entirely? The gods! Intolerable! The gods favor this corpse? Why? How had he served them? Tried to burn images, loot their temples? Yes, and the whole state and its laws with it. Is your standout opinion that gods love to favor bad men? A pious thought. No, from the very beginning, there have been those who have whispered against me. Stiff-necked anarchists, scheming against me in the alleys. These are the men, and they have bribed my own guard to do this thing. Money. There's nothing so demoralizing as money. Down go your cities, homes gone, men gone, honest heart corrupted, crookedness of all kinds, and all for money. And you, I swear by God and by the throne of God, the man who has done this thing shall pay for it. Find that man, bring him here to me, or your death will be least of your problems. I will string you up alive, and there will be certain ways to make you discover your employer before you die. And this process may teach you a lesson you seem to have missed. The dearest profit is sometimes all too dear. That depends on the source. Do you understand me? A fortune won is often misfortune.
King, may I speak?
Your very voice distresses me.
Are you sure that it is my voice and not your conscience?
By God, he wants to analyze me now.
It is not what I say, but what has been done that hurts you.
You talk too much.
Maybe, but I have done nothing.
Sold your soul from silver, that's all you've done.
How dreadful it is when the right judge judges wrong.
Your figure of speech may entertain you now, but unless you bring me the man, you will get little profit from them in the end.
Bring him the man. I'd like nothing better than bringing him the man. But bring him or not, you have seen the last of me here. At any rate, I am safe.
Numberless are the world's wonders, but none more wonderful than man.
The storm-gray sea yields to his prows.
The huge crests bear him high.
Earth, holy and inexhaustible,
is graven with shining furs where his plows have gone. Year after year, the timeless labor of stallions.
The light-boned birds and beasts that cling to cover.
The blithe fish lighting their reaches of dim water.
All are taken, tamed in the net of his mind.
The lion on the hill, the wild horse, windy mane, resigned to him.
And his blunt yoke has broken the sultry shoulders of the mountain bull.
Words also, and thought abstracted as air, he fashions to his good use.
Statecraft is his, and his the skill that deflects the errors of snow.
The spears of winter rain. From every wind he has made himself secure. From all but one. From all but one.
From all but one. From all but one. From all but one.
In the late wind of death, he cannot stand.
O clear intelligence, force beyond all measure.
O fate of man, working both good and evil.
When the laws are kept.
How proudly his city stands.
When the laws are broken.
What of his city then? Never may the anarchic man find rest at my hearth. Never be it said that my thoughts are his thoughts.
Surely this captive woman is the Princess Antigone. Why should she be taken?
Here is the one who did it. We caught her in the very act of burying him. Where's Creon?
Just coming from the house.
What has happened? Why have you come back so soon?
O king, a man should never be too sure of anything. I would have sworn you'd never see me here again. Your anger frightened me so, and the things you threatened me with. But how could I tell that I'd be able to solve the case so soon?
No dice throwing this time. I was only too glad to come. Here is this woman. She is the guilty one. Take her, question her, judge her as you will. I am through with the whole thing now, and glad of it.
But this is Antigone. Why have you brought her here?
She was burying him, I tell you.
Is this the truth?
I saw her with my own eyes. Can I say more?
The details. Come, tell me quickly.
It was like this. After those terrible threats of yours, King, we went back and brushed the dust away from the body. The flesh was soft by now and stinking, so we sat on a hill to windward and kept guard. No napping this time, we kept each other awake. But nothing happened until the white round sun whirled in the center of the round sky over us. Then, suddenly, a storm of dust roared up from the earth. The sky went out, the plain vanished with all its trees in the stinging dark. We closed our eyes and endured it. The whirlwind lasted a long time, but it passed. And then we looked, and there was Antigone. I have seen a mother bird come back to a stripped nest, heard her crying bitterly a broken note or two for the young one's stolen. Just so, when this girl found the bare corpse, and all her love's work wasted, she cried, she wept, and cried on heaven to damn the hands that had done this thing. And then she brought more dust and sprinkled wine 3 times for her brother's ghost. We ran and took her at once. She was not afraid, not even when we had trusted with what she had done. She denied nothing. For it is a good thing to escape death, but it is no great thing to bring death to a friend. Yet I always say there is nothing so comfortable as your own safe skin.
And you, Antigone, you with your head hanging, do you confess this thing?
I do. I deny nothing.
You may go. Tell me briefly, had you heard my proclamation touching this matter?
It was public, but I held hearing it.
And yet you dared defy the law.
I dared. It was not God's proclamation. That final justice that rules the world below makes no such laws. Your edict, King, was strong, but all your strength was weakness itself against the immortal, unrecorded laws of God. They are not merely now. They were and shall be operative forever, beyond man utterly. I knew I must die, even without your decree. I am only mortal, and if I must die now, before it is my time to die, surely this is no mercy. Can anyone, living as I live with evil all about me, think death less than a friend? This death of mine is of no importance, but if I had left my brother lying in death unburied, I should have suffered. Now I do. You smile. Creon, think me a fool if you like, but it may well be that a fool convinces me of folly.
Like father, like daughter, both headstrong, deaf to reason. She has never learned to yield.
She has much to learn. The inflexible heart breaks first. The toughest iron cracks first. The wildest horses bend their necks at the pull of the smallest curb. Pride? In a slave? This girl is guilty of a double insolence, breaking the given laws and boasting of it. Who is the man here, she or I, if this crime goes unpunished? Sister's child, or more than sister's child, or closer yet in blood. She and her sister win bitter death for this. Go, some of you. Arrest is me. I accuse her equally. Bring her. You will find her sniffling in the house there. Her mind's a traitor. Crimes kept in the dark cry for light. And the guardian brain shudders. But how much worse than this is brazen boasting of barefaced anarchy.
Creon, what more do you want than my death?
Nothing. That gives me everything.
Then I beg you, kill me. This talking is a great weariness. Your words are distasteful to me, and I am sure that mine seem so to you. Yet they should not seem so. I should have praise and honor for what I have done. These men here would praise me, were their lips not frozen shut with fear of you. Oh, the good fortune of kings. License to say and do whatever they please.
You are alone here in that opinion.
No, they are with me, but they keep their tongues in leash.
Maybe, but you are guilty and they are not.
There is no guilt in reference to the dead.
But Antiochus, was he not your brother too?
My brother too.
And you insult his memory.
The dead man would not say that I insulted him.
He would, for you honor a traitor as much as him.
His own brother, traitor or not, an equal in blood.
He made war on his country. Antiochus defended it.
Nevertheless, there are honors due all the dead.
But not the same for the wicked as for the just.
Ah, Creon. Which of us can say what the gods hold wicked?
An enemy is an enemy, even dead.
It is my nature to join in love, not hate.
Go join them then. If you must have your love, find it in hell.
But see, Ismene comes. Whose tears are sisterly. The cloud that rains down grief, rains down gentle sorrow.
You too, Ismene. Snake in my ordered house, sucking my blood stealthily. And all the time I never knew that these two sisters were aiming at my throat. Ismene, do you confess your share in this crime or deny it? Answer me.
Yes, if she will let me say so, I am guilty.
No, Ismene, you have no right to say so. You would not help me, and I will not have you help me.
But now I know what you meant, and I am here to join you, to take my share of punishment.
The dead man and the gods who rule the dead know whose act this was. Words are not friends.
Do you refuse me, Antigone? I want to die with you. I too have a duty that I must discharge to the dead.
You shall not lessen my death by sharing.
What do I care for life when you are dead?
Ask Creon, you're always hanging on his opinions.
You are laughing at me. Why, Antigone?
It's a joyless laughter, Ismene.
But can I do nothing?
Yes. Save yourself, I shall not envy you. There are those who will praise you.
But we are equally guilty.
No more, Ismene. You are alive, but I belong to death.
Gentlemen, I beg you to observe these girls. One has just now lost her mind. The other, it seems, has never had a mind at all.
Grief causes the steadiest minds to waver, King.
Yours certainly did, when you assumed guilt with the guilty.
But how can I go on living without her?
You are. She is already dead.
But your own son's bride.
There are places enough for him to push his plow. I want no wicked women for my sons.
Oh, dearest Haman, how your father wrongs you.
I've had enough of your childish talk of marriage.
Do you really intend to steal this girl from your son?
No. Death will do that for me.
Then she must die?
You dazzle me. But enough of this talk. You there. Take these girls away and guard them well. For they are but women, and even brave men run when they see death coming.
Fortunate is the man who has never tasted God's vengeance. Where once the anger of heaven has struck, that house is shaken forever. Damnation rises behind each child, like a wave cresting at the black northeast, when long darkness undersea roars up and bursts, drumming death upon the wind-whipped sand.
I have seen this gathering sorrow from time long past, loom upon Oedipus's children, generation from generation, taste the compulsive rage of the enemy god.
So lately, this last flower of Oedipus's line drank the sunlight, but now a passionate word and a handful of dust has closed up all its beauty.
What mortal arrogance transcends the wrath of Zeus?
Sleep cannot lull him, nor the effortless long months of the timeless gods. But he is young forever, and his house is the shining day of high Olympus. All that is and shall be, and all the past is his. No pride on earth is free of the curse of heaven.
But as they drowse, they walk with fixed eyes as blind men walk. But the ancient wisdom speaks for its own time.
Fate works most for woe, with folly's fairest show. Man's little pleasure is the spring of sorrow.
But here is Haman, king, the last of all your sons. Is it grief for Antigone that brings him here, and bitterness at being robbed of his bride?
We shall soon see, and no need of diviners. Son, you have heard my final judgment on that girl. Have you come here hating me? Or have you come with deference and with love, whatever I do?
I am your son, Father. You make things clear to me, and I obey you. No marriage means more to me than your continuing wisdom.
Good. That is the way to behave. Subordinate everything else, my son, to your father's will. This is what a man prays for, that he may get sons, attentive and dutiful in his house, each one hating his father's enemies, honoring his father's friends. But if his sons fail him, if they turn out unprofitably, what is he fathered but trouble for himself and amusement for the malicious? So you are right not to lose your head over this woman. Your pleasure with her would soon grow cold, Haman, and then you'd have a hellcat in bed and elsewhere. Let her find her husband in hell. Of all the people in this city, only she has had contempt for my law and broken it. Yes, do you want me to show myself weak before the people, or to break my sworn word? No, and I will not. The woman dies. No. I suppose she'll plead family ties. Well, let her. If I permit my own family to rebel, how shall I earn the world's obedience? Show me the man who keeps his house in hand. He's fit for public authority. I'll have no dealings with lawbreakers, critics of the government. Whoever is chosen to govern should be obeyed, must be obeyed in all things, great and small, just and unjust. Oh, Haman, the man who knows how to obey, and that man only, knows how to give commands when the time comes. You can depend on him no matter how fast the spears come. He's a good soldier. He'll stick it out. Anarchy! Anarchy! Show me a greater evil! This is why cities tumble and the great houses rain down. This is what scatters armies. No, no. Good lives are made so by discipline. We keep the laws then, and the lawmakers, and no woman shall seduce us. If we must lose, let's lose to a man at least. Is a woman greater than we?
Unless time has rusted my wits. What you say, King, is said with point and dignity.
Father, reason is God's crowning gift to man. Right to warn me against losing mine. I cannot say, I hope that I should never want to say, that you have reasoned badly. But there are other men who can reason too, and their opinions might be helpful. You're not in a position to know everything that people say or do or what they feel. Your temper terrifies them. Everyone will tell you only what you want to hear. But I, at any rate, can listen. And I've heard them muttering and whispering in the dark about this girl. They say, never has any woman so unreasonably suffered a death for a generous act. She buried her brother's body. Is this a crime? She kept him from dogs and vultures. Is this indecent? Death? She deserves all the praise we can give her. This is how they talk out in the city. You must believe me. Nothing is closer to me than your happiness. Must not any son value his father's fortune as he does his own? I beg you, do not be unchangeable. Do not think that you alone can be right. A man who maintains that he alone has the power to reason correctly, the gift to speak, the soul. A man like that, when you get to know him, he turns out empty. It's not reason never to yield to reason. In flood time, some trees bend, and because of it, even their twigs are saved. But stubborn trees are torn up, roots and all. And the same thing happens in sailing. Make your sheets fast, never slacken, and over you go. Head over heels and under, and there's your voyage. Do not think that you alone can be right. Forget you are angry. Let yourself be moved. I know I am young. Please, let me say this. The ideal condition would be, I admit, that men would be right by instinct. But since we're all too likely to go astray, the only reasonable thing to do is to learn from those who can teach.
You will do well to listen to him, King, if what he says is sensible. And you, Haman, must listen to your father. Both speak well.
You consider it right, for a man of my years and experience, to go to school to a boy.
It's not right if I'm wrong, but if I'm young and right, what does my age matter?
You think it right to stand up for an anarchist?
Not at all. I pay no respect to criminals.
Then she is not a criminal.
The city would deny it to a man.
And the city would propose to teach me how to rule.
Ah, who's talking like a boy now?
My voice is the one voice giving orders in this city.
It is no city if it takes orders from one voice.
The state is the king.
Yes, if the state is a desert.
This boy, it seems, is sold out to a woman.
If you are a woman, my only concern is for you.
So, your concern in a public brawl with your father.
How about you, in a public brawl with justice?
With justice? When all I do is within my rights.
You have no right to trample on God's right.
Fool! Adolescent fool! Taken in by a woman.
You'll never see me taken in by anything vile.
Every word you say is for her.
And for you. And for me. And for the gods under the earth.
You'll never marry her while she lives.
Fine, then she must die. But her death will cause another.
Another? Have you lost your senses? Is this an open threat?
There's no threat in speaking to emptiness.
I swear you'll regret the superior tone of yours. You are the empty one.
If you're not my father, I'd swear you were perverse.
You girl-struck fool. Don't play at words with me.
I forgot. You prefer silence.
Now, by God, I swear by all the gods in heaven above us, you'll watch it. I swear you shall. Bring her out. Bring the woman out. Let her die before his eyes. Here, with her bridegroom beside her.
Not here. No. Not here. King, and you will never see my face again. Go on raving, as long as you have a friend to endure you.
Gone. Creon, a young man in a race is dangerous.
Let him do, or dream to do, more than a man can. He shall not save these girls from death.
These girls? You have sentenced them both?
No, you are right. I will not sentence the one whose hands are clean.
But Antigone?
I will carry her far away, out there in the wilderness, and lock her, living in a vault of stone. She shall have food, as is the custom, to absolve the state of her death. And there, let her pray to the gods of hell. They are her only gods. Perhaps they will show her an escape from death, for she may learn, though late, that piety shown the dead is pity and fame.
Love, unconquerable, waster of rich men, keeper of warm lights and all-night vigil, in the soft face of a girl. Sea wanderer, forest visitor, even the pure immortals cannot escape you. And man, in his one day's dusk, trembles before your glory. And surely you swerve upon ruin, the just man's consenting heart, as here you have made bright anger strike between father and son. And none has conquered but love, a girl's glance, working the will of heaven. Pleasure to her alone who mocks us. Merciless Aphrodite.
But I can no longer stand in awe of this, nor, seeing what I see, keep back my tears. Here is Antigone, passing to that chamber where all find sleep at last.
Look upon me, friends, and pity me. Turning back at the night's edge to say goodbye to that sun which shines from me no longer. Now, sleepy death has called me down to Acheron, that cold shore. There is no bride song there, nor any music.
Yet not unpraised, not without count of honor, you walk at last into the underworld.
Untouched by sickness, broken by no sword, what woman has ever found your way to death?
How often I have heard the story of Niobe, Tantalus's wretched daughter, how the stone clung fast about her, ivy close, and they say the rain falls endlessly, and the sifting soft snow, her tears are never done. I feel the loneliness of her death in mine.
But she was born of heaven, and you are woman born.
If her death is yours, a mortal woman's, is this not for you glory in our world and the world beyond?
You laugh at me. Ah, friends, can you not wait until I am dead? O thieves, O men, many charioted, in love with fortune, dear streams of Dirce, sacred Theban groves. Be witness for me, denied all pity, unjustly judged, and think a word of love for her whose path turns under dark earth, where there are no more tears.
You have passed beyond human daring and come at last into a place of stone where justice sits.
I cannot tell what shape of your father's guilt appears in this.
You have touched upon it at last. That bridal bed unspeakable, horror of son and mother mingling. Their crime, the infection of all our family. Oh, Oedipus, father and brother, your marriage strikes from the grave to murder mine. I have been a stranger here in my own land all my life. The blasphemy of my birth has followed me.
Reverence is a virtue, but strength lives in the established law that must prevail.
You have made your choice. Your death is the doing of your conscious hand.
Then let me go, since all your words are bitter, and the very light of the sun is cold to me. Lead me to my vigil, where I shall have neither love nor lamentation, no song, but silence.
If 10 dirges and lamentations could put off death, men will be singing forever. Take her, go. You know your orders. Take her to the vault and leave her alone there. If she lives or dies, that's her affair, not ours. Our hands are clean.
O tomb, O vaulted bride bed, in eternal rock, soon I shall be with my own again, where Persephone welcomes the thin ghosts underground. And I shall see you, father, and you, mother, and dearest Polynices, dearest indeed to me, since it was my hands that cleansed him and poured the ritual wine. And my reward is death before my time. And yet, as men hearts know, I have done no wrong. I have not sinned before God. And if I have, I shall know the truth in death. But if the blame lies on Creon, who judged me, then I pray, may his punishment equal my own.
O passionate heart, unyielding, tormented still by the same winds.
Her guards will have good cause to regret it delaying.
Ah, that voice is like the voice of death.
I can give you no reason to think you're mistaken.
O Thebes, and my father's gods, and rulers of Thebes, you see me now, the unhappy daughter of a line of kings, led away to death because I would not transgress the laws of heaven. Come, let us wait no longer.
All Danae's beauty was locked away in a brazen cell where sunlight could not come.
A small room, still as any grave, enclosed her. Yet she was a princess too, and Zeus in a rain of gold poured love upon her.
O child, child, no power in wealth or war, or tough sea-blackened ships, can prevail against untiring destiny.
The Dryas' son also, that furious king, bore the god's prisoning anger for his pride.
Sealed up by Dionysus in Deathstone, his madness Diamond echoes. So at the last, he learned what dreadful power his tongue had mocked. For he had profaned the revels, and fired the wrath of the 9 implacable sisters that loved the sound of the flute.
And old men tell a half-remembered tale of a horror done, where dark light splits the sea, and a double surf beats on the gray shores.
How kings knew a woman, sick with hatred, with the queen he had imprisoned. Ripped out his 2 sons' eyes with her bloody hands, while grinning Ares watched the shuttle plunge. 4 times!
4 times!
4 times! 4 times!
4 blind wounds, crying for revenge.
Crying, tears and blood mingled. Those sons whose mother was of heavenly birth, and her father was the god of the north wind. She was cradled by gales.
She raced with young colts on glittering hails, and walked untrammeled in the open light.
But in her marriage, deathless fate
found means to build a tomb like yours for all her joy.
This is the way the blind man comes. Princes, princes, lockstep, 2 heads lit by the eyes of one.
What new thing do you have to tell us, O Tiresias?
I've much to tell you. Listen to the prophet Creon.
I am not aware that I have ever failed to listen.
Then you have done wisely, king, and ruled well.
I am in my debt to you, but what have you to say?
This, Creon, you stand once more on the edge of fate.
What do you mean? Your words are a kind of dread.
Listen, Creon. I was sitting in my chair of augury, at the place where the birds gather about me. They were all a chatter, as is their habit, when suddenly I heard a strange note in their jangling. A scream, a whirring fury. I knew that they were fighting, tearing each other, dying in a whirlwind of wings clashing, and I was afraid. I began the rites of burnt offering at the altar, but Hephaestus failed me. Instead of bright flame, there was only the sputtering slime of the fat thigh flesh melting. The entrails dissolved in gray smoke. The bare bone burst at the welter in no blaze. This was a sign from heaven. My boy described it, seeing for me as I see for others. I tell you, Creon, you yourself have brought this new calamity upon us. Our hearths and altars are stained with the corruption of dogs and carrion birds that glut themselves on the corpse of Oedipus' son. The gods are deaf when we pray to them. Their fire recoils from our offering. Their birds of omen have no cry of comfort, for they are gorged with the thick blood of the dead. O my son, these are no trifles. Think, all men make mistakes, but a good man yields when he knows his course is wrong and repairs the evil. The only crime is pride. Give in to the dead man, then. Do not fight with a corpse. What glory is it to kill a man who is dead? Think, I beg you, it is for your own good that I speak as I do. You should be able to yield for your own good.
It would seem that the prophets have made me a special province. All my life long, I have been a kind of butt to the dull arrows of thundering fortune tellers. No, Tiresias. If you birds, if the great eagles of God himself should carry him stinking bit by bit to heaven, I will not yield. I am not afraid of pollution. No man can defile the gods. Do what you will. Go into business. Make money. Speculate in India gold or a synthetic gold from Sardis, if you will. Get rich otherwise than by my consent to bury him. Tiresias, it is a sorry thing when a wise man sells his wisdom, lets out his words for hire.
Ah, Creon. Is there no man left in the world?
To do what? Come, let's have the aphorism.
No man who knows that wisdom outweighs any wealth.
As surely as bribes are baser than any baseness.
You are sick, Creon. You are deathly sick.
As you say, it is not my place to challenge a prophet.
Yet you have said my prophecy is for sale.
The generation of prophets has always loved gold.
The generation of kings has always loved brass.
You forget yourself. You're speaking to your king.
I know it. You are a king because of me.
You have a certain skill, but you have sold out.
King, you will drive me to words that...
Say them! Say them! Only remember, I will not pay you for them.
Then take this and take it to heart. The time is not far off when you shall pay back, corpse for corpse, flesh of your own flesh. You've thrust the child of this world into living night. You've kept from the gods below the child that is theirs. The one in the grave before her death, the other dead denied the grave. This is your crime, and the furies and the dark gods of hell are swift with terrible punishment for you. Do you want to buy me now, Creon? Not many days, and your house will be full of men and women weeping, and curses will be hurled at you from far cities, grieving for sons unburied left to rot before the walls of Thebes. These are my arrows, Creon. They are all for you. But come, child, lead me home. Let him waste his fine anger upon younger men. Maybe he will learn at last to control a wiser tongue and a better head.
The old man has gone, King, but his words remain to plague us. I am old too, but I cannot remember that he was ever false.
That is true. It troubles me. Oh, it is hard to give in. But it is worse to risk everything for stubborn pride.
Creon, take my advice.
What shall I do?
Go quickly! Free Antigone from her vault and build a tomb for the body of Polynices.
You would have me do this?
Creon, yes, and it must be done at once. God moves swiftly to cancel the folly of stubborn men.
It is hard to deny the harm, but I will do it. I will not fight with destiny.
You must go yourself. You cannot leave it to others.
I will go. Bring axes, servants. Come with me to the tomb. Oh, quickly. My mind misgives. The laws of the gods are mighty, and a man must serve them to the last day of his life.
God of many names! God of many names! God of many names!
O Aeacus of Thebes, son of Cadmean Semele, O born of the Thunderer,
guardian of the west region of Eleusis plain,
O prince of Maenad Thebes and the dragon field by rippling Ismenus,
God of many names. The flame of torches flares on our hills. The nymphs of Aeacus dance at the spring of Castalia.
From the vine-close mountain, come, come in ivy. Evoe, Evoe,
Evoe, Evoe,
sings through the streets of Thebes.
God of many names, Aeacus of Thebes, heavenly child of the Semele bride of the Thunderer. The shadow of plague is upon us. Come with clement feet.
Come from Parnassus, down the long slopes across the lamenting water. Io, fire, chorister of the throbbing stars, O purest among the voices of the night, thou Son of God, blaze for us. Come with choric rapture of circling Maenads,
who cry, Io, Aeace,
Io, Aeace,
God of many names.
Men of the line of Cadmus, you who live near Amphion Citadel, I cannot say of any condition of human life. This is fixed. This is clearly good or bad. Fate raises up, and fate casts down, the happy and unhappy alike. No man can foretell his fate. Take the case of Creon. Creon was happy once, as I count happiness. Victorious in battle, sole governor of the land, fortunate father of children nobly born. And now it has all gone from him. Who can say that a man is still alive when his life's joy fails?
He is a walking dead man.
Grant him rich. Let him live like a king in his great house.
If his pleasure is gone, I will not give so much as the shadow of smoke for all he owns.
Your words hint at sorrow. What is your news for us?
They are dead. The living are guilty of their death.
Who is guilty? Who is dead? Speak.
Haman.
Haman is dead, and the hand that killed him was his own hand.
His father's or his own?
His own, driven mad by the murder his father had done.
Tyrisus, how clearly you saw it all.
This is my news. You must draw what conclusions you can from it.
But look, Eurydice, our queen, has she overheard us?
I have heard something, friends, as I was unlocking the gate of Pallas's shrine. For I needed her help today. I heard a voice telling of some new sorrow. And I fainted there at the temple with all my maidens about me. But speak again, whatever it is, I can bear it. Grief and I are no strangers.
Dearest lady, I will tell you plainly all that I've seen. I will not try to comfort you. What is the use, since comfort can lie only in what is not true? The truth is always best. I went with Creon to the outer plate, where Polynices was lying. No friend to pity him, his body shredded by dogs. We made our prayers in that place, to Hecate and Pluto, that they would be merciful. And we bathed the corpse with holy water, and brought fresh broken branches to burn what was left of it. And upon the urn, we heaped up a towering barrow of the earth of his own land. When we were done, we ran to the vault where Antigone lay, on her couch of stone. One of the servants had gone ahead, and while he was yet far off, he heard a voice grieving within the chamber, and he came back and told Creon. And as the king went closer, the air was full of wailing, and he begged us to make all haste.
Am I a prophet? And must I walk this road, the saddest of all that have gone before? My son's voice calls me on. Oh, quickly, quickly. Look through the crevice there and tell me if it is Haman, or some deception of the gods.
We obeyed, and in the cabin's farthest corner we saw her lying. She had made a noose of her fine linen veil and hanged herself. Haman lay beside her, his arms about her waist, lamenting her, his love lost on the ground, crying out that his father had stolen her away from him. When Creon saw him, the tears rushed to his eyes, and he cried out to him.
What is the matter, my son? Speak to me. What are you thinking that makes your eyes so strange? Oh, my son, I come to you on my knees.
But Haman spat in his face. He said not a word, staring, and suddenly drew his sword and lunged. Creon shrank back. The blade missed, and the boy, desperate against himself, drove it half its length into his own side and fell. And as he died, he gathered Antigone close in his arms again, choking, his blood bright red on her white cheek. And now he lies dead with the dead, and she is his at last, his bride in the houses of the dead.
She has left us without a word. What can this mean?
It troubles me too, yet she knows what is best.
It may be so, but I fear this deep silence.
I will see what she is doing. I will go in.
Look, Creon comes. We'll look at him bearing his own damnation in arms.
Nothing you say can touch me anymore. My own blind heart has brought me from darkness to final darkness. Here you see the father murdering the murdered son, and all my civic wisdom. Oh, Haman, my son, so young to die. I was the fool, not you. You died for me.
You're right. If there can be right in so much wrong, the briefest way is best in a world of sorrow.
This grief is hard to bear. Surely a god has crushed me beneath the hugest weight of heaven and driven me headlong a barbaric way to crush out the thing I held most dear. The pains that men will take to come to pain.
The burden you carry in your hands is heavy, but it is not all. You will find more in your house.
What burden worse than this shall I find there?
The queen is dead.
O port of death, death word, is there no pity for me? And you, angel of evil, I was dead. Your words are death again. Is it true, boy? Can it be true? Is my wife dead? Has death bred death?
You can see for yourself.
All true and more than I could bear. Oh, my wife, my son.
She stood before the altar, and her heart welcomed the knife her own hand guided. And a great cry burst from her lips, for Megaris dead, and for Haman dead, her sons. And her last breath was a curse for their father, the murderer of her sons. And she fell, and the dark flowed in through her closing eyes.
Oh God, I am sick with fear. Are there no swords here? Has no one a blow for me?
Her curse is upon you for the deaths of both.
It is right that it should be. I alone am guilty. I know it, and I say it. Lead me in quickly, friends. I have neither life nor substance. Lead me in.
You are right, if there can be right in so much wrong. The briefest way is best in a world of sorrow.
Let it come. Let death come quickly and be kind to me. I would not ever see the sun again.
All that will come when it will. But we meanwhile have much to do. Leave the future to itself.
All my heart was in that prayer.
And do not pray anymore. The sky is deaf.
Lead me away. I have been rash and foolish. I have killed my son and my wife. I look for comfort, and my comfort lies here dead. Whatever my hands have touched have come to nothing. Fate has brought my pride to a thought of dust.
There is no happiness where there is no wisdom. There is no wisdom but in submission to the gods. Big words are always punished,